Hello! Now, I've been living here in the beautiful Outer Hebrides for 3 years, and I've been doing YouTube full time now for 6 years. So in this video, I'm going to answer a few questions such as:
how much does YouTube pay me? Why don't I just get a real job? Why sponsored content is necessary? Unseen additional costs as soon as you monetize YouTube content, and free or underpriced content and what that says about the businesses that use it.
And finally, we'll look at the rewards. Why do I do it? And the answer might surprise you. Ted, get out of there! As I alluded to in my New Year video, I'm going to be upgrading my laptop so I can do 4K video and improve the quality of the content on YouTube. Well, Apple have now launched their new MacBook Pro. I've got one on order and it is going to cost me £4,149. Also, as it's January, just put in the tax return. So financial costs at the moment are feeling pretty pertinent right now. So I'll crack off by giving you some of the figures from my last financial year. So from YouTube, I earned £7,930.52. That is £660.88 per month before tax. I got my EV in March, so up till then, the cost of my diesel was £2,733.06 for the year. There are also obviously other costs involved, like the £3,453.76 that I spent on other travel and accommodation, so things like ferries, train fares, hotels if I didn't take the caravan, and campsite fees. Then on things like administration costs, equipment, so things like website design and hosting, replacing cameras and so forth, upgrading, I spent £3,074. And on top of that, there was also the cost of running the car and caravan, insurances, which I'll talk about. So as you can see, £7,930 is not going to cover it. When you monetize YouTube content, in other words, when you have over 1,000 subscribers and you slide that slider to say you want to make ad revenue on your videos, it has huge implications. You are now making money from your caravanning and motorhoming, and the line between being a hobby and being a business starts to blur. Strictly speaking, if you're making money from something, then it is a business. Therefore, you need to have the correct business insurances in place. I have, and these insurances include business use on the car, not just social, domestic and pleasure. Business use insurance on the caravan, not just the usual leisure use. Third-party liability. I don't want to lose my house if someone trips over my camera tripod. Professional indemnity, essential if you're offering any kind of advice on a public platform. Drone insurance, including third party. Well, that's pretty essential anyway. So my insurance bill alone last year was nearly £2,000. And then of course that's on top of everything like website design and hosting, admin costs, the car and caravan, and all that kind of thing. Now, when you work for yourself, as a general rule of thumb, you need to be making twice as much as if you were working a regular job for someone else, because you have to compensate for things that you don't get, like holiday pay, sickness pay, pension contributions, and then of course to cover all those other essential behind the scenes tasks such as planning, script writing, reviewing and archiving footage, editing, uploading, engagement, like reading the video comments and replying to them, bookkeeping, emails, admin, like writing proposals and invoicing, meetings, and so on. I need to talk about free work and why the industry needs to stop killing the golden goose that is YouTube and start supporting us. When you start any business, you generally work for peanuts for the first 6 months to a year. For the first 6 months that I was running this channel full time, I was earning about £1 an hour. But there is a fine line between building your brand and being taken advantage of. And you have to remember that you set your worth at a very early stage. 12 years ago, I did a couple of jobs for a large manufacturer for basically expenses. I worked my socks off for nothing, thinking it was going to be good to build my brand. 6 years ago, when I started doing YouTube full-time, an opportunity arose with the same manufacturer and I put in my regular day rate and was told to halve it. It was really not worth my while doing, and I had to say no. It was the hardest decision I ever made, and it was also the best decision I ever made because I set my worth.
If you go to Companies House and look at the publicly available accounts for some of the companies in this industry, you'll see that most of them make a healthy profit. That's good for everyone, as none of us wants to see these companies that we rely on go out of business.
But what I don't understand is people who subsidize the profits of these companies with their hard-earned salary or pension. Basically, if people are working for free, they've set their worth for zero, and they are subsidizing the profits of these big companies with their own money and time. Maybe they don't realize that they have actually set their net worth at zero. Now, trust me, I know from bitter experience that with most companies in this industry, there is no such thing as jam tomorrow. But what about exposure, I hear you cry? Exposure is always thrown about, but have you ever tried going up to the checkout in the co-op and saying you could give them great exposure in return for your groceries? Oh, hi there, I've just ordered a new laptop and I just wondered if I could have it for free. Well, I was going to give you some great exposure, tell people how fabulous Apple were, and just say, it's still going to cost me £4,149. But I could give you some great exposure and... Hello? Hello? Because once you've woken up and realized that great exposure does not pay the bills, and you put in for a decent, proper day rate with that company you've been working for nothing, all they do is they move on to the next new starter who is going to work for them for free. But on the other side of the coin, I don't understand how a company that has spent years and thousands, if not millions, building its brand, building its reputation, then puts that brand, that reputation in the hands of somebody who is not accountable and does not have a track record just to save a few bob. That to me is incomprehensible and cheap, and it says a lot about the ethos of that company. So this brings me on to the subject of sponsored content, why it's necessary. Let me give you an example. In 2022, I went to the Erwin Group preview only because I was kindly sponsored by Whale. Otherwise, I couldn't have gone. You don't just spend one day at the preview. There was the cost and the time of the travel to and from County Durham, the campsites, the editing, etc. And this meant that these two videos took a week and a half to produce and cost many hundreds of pounds in time and expenses. So far, these two videos that I shot at the Erwin Group preview have made me a grand total of £65. So without that sponsorship from Whale, I simply couldn't have gone. A couple of years ago, I was invited to a product preview in Hull to put their product in front of my audience that I have spent 10 years of hard graft building.
From Uist, it would have cost many hundreds of pounds in travel and either campsites or hotels, and taken almost 10 days, that's 2 working weeks, to produce this one preview video. I asked this manufacturer just to cover my expenses, not my time, and not only did they not reply, but I've never been invited back there again. It appears that £250 in travel expenses to put a product in front of anything between 5,000 and 500,000 people is too much to ask, yet that same manufacturer will think nothing of spending many thousands or tens of thousands of pounds on magazine advertising. Of course, you also have to think of what your audience wants to watch and do your best to provide them with it. So obviously, if you think the content's going to be phenomenal and of serious interest to your viewers, you don't need sponsorship to do that. You go and do it off your own back. But there is nothing more disappointing than investing your own time and money into covering a preview that showcases absolutely nothing new than the latest exciting shade of beige.
So why do I do it? Well, while I'm answering that question, rather than looking at me, why don't we look at these 2 adorable little dogs? Now, I'll admit I moan a lot about YouTube and the way that sensationalist content is rewarded while quality content is not. But you know, that is the way of the world. After all, McDonald's is more profitable and more popular than fine dining independent restaurants that serve high quality food. But I would rather attract the more discerning customer. That's you, that is. YouTube gives me a platform. It gives me a voice. 20 years ago, I had to go through an editorial process and the content was all advertiser dependent. YouTube gives me a voice. My journey with YouTube started with a deep-rooted desire to share the joys of caravanning and share just how stunningly beautiful the Outer Hebrides are. In 2022, I re-evaluated my position and I thought, what would I do if I didn't need to work for money? And the answer is this. If you do something you truly love, you will never work again for the rest of your life. YouTube is not a route to big bucks, and many of those who approach it purely to make money quickly fall by the wayside when they realize how much work is involved for how little return. Yes, I could get a real job, but if everyone did that, there would be no art or entertainment for us to enjoy, would there? The only way to make YouTube work is to love what you do. And fortunately for me, despite all the challenges and frustrations, I really do love what I do. So thank you for listening to me. Thank you for giving me a voice. Thank you for letting me share my passion with you. And most of all, thank you for your support. So it just leaves me to say, from Dougal, from Ted, and from me, thanks for tuning in. What do you reckon, boys? Do you reckon this is the life? Do you reckon this is the life? Are you excited about the coming season? Are you excited about all the videos coming up? Are you excited? Are you excited? They never smile. Come on, be a bit more engaged. Be a bit more. Oh, come on. Oh.